You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table, the podcast where no subject is too taboo to discuss. Now, please welcome your hosts, Andy Barker and Drew Del Pree. What's up?
What's going on?
I hit the wrong button. Again.
That's okay, because remember how I said, hey, I'll finish telling it. We got the intro to do. Just, when we're done, I'll finish telling the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the intro and now, I completely forgot what story I was telling.
Oh, we were telling that story about that one thing, at that one time, about that other thing.
With that guy.
I got nothing,
bar.
man. I got nothing.
I totally forgot. So what's up?
Oh, what is up? Not much, really. Same old, but it's Friday night. So you know what that means. That means nothing's off the table. What is up is that we got stiffed by another guest.
Yeah.
I received an email last night, and they're like, hey, sorry, got to back out, but whatever. But hey, we roll with the punches here, because that's what we do.
Maybe they'll jump halfway through like last week. Or last.
No.
That was
they
an
don't
awesome
have a link.
conversation, though, by the way.
What's that?
That was an awesome conversation.
Oh, yeah, man.
I had a great talk.
Well, the good news is that he's coming back. So.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have an opportunity to continue on with the conversation, because it was great, man.
Yes, yeah.
We talked about everything from what his line of work was to wrestling.
Yes. So I remembered what we were talking about. We were talking about masonry, right? And
that's right.
Conspiracy theories, right? So for those of you that don't know, I'm a Mason. I've been a Mason for over 20 years. And we were talking conspiracy theories. And I have friends who tell me all the time, it's whatever conspiracy theory it is. I said, but what I always find funny is, I've been in the fraternity for a long time, right? And somehow in their mind, I don't know what goes on. I don't know. I'm a member. The wolves pulled over my eyes. I'm not high enough in the order to know. But they read a book that was free at the library.
Well, I guess that's better than saying. I guess it's better than saying I saw it on the internet.
Right. But somehow they know after 2 hours of, I'm sure, is the most rigorous research done in the world, right?
Right.
But I don't know because I'm not high enough. That is such a huge leap of logic.
Well, it makes perfect sense in an unreal world, I guess. I don't know.
It does, man. It does. It was funny. I heard somebody the other day criticizing the Big Bang Theory using a quote from H.G. Wells or somebody. If you just grant us this big miracle, we can explain everything else. you just
right. Well,
I have no idea how that happened.
So that kind of sort of not really leads me into what maybe we would talk about. And you said something Ridge.
Colony Ridge. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I would love to talk about that. So I was watching The Blaze, created some original content, and they just did a documentary on a place called Colony Ridge. And it's being reported weirdly in different outlets, and you would really have to watch the documentary to get the full feel. So I encourage you to go over there and see it. But to give you kind of a summary, right? Basically, you have how many illegals coming over the border every month, right? On a monthly basis, 300,000, 200,000. Record numbers, right? But in the hundreds of thousands, right? We all know that to be true. Well, where do they go? Right? Like where do they end up? So some get bust. You see about that in the national news. Some get caught and deterred. Something like out of 3 million entries, 600,000 have been deported.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I think that's talking about that a couple days ago, one of the congressmen.
Wow.
So where do they go? And they found this northeast of Houston, this giant colony. That's the Daily Wire's reported on it. Washington Post has reported. People have reported on it, but nobody can kind of figure it out. So they went down there with a camera crew to try to figure out what's going on here with this development. And basically, what it is, with the scuttlebutt or the rumor is that it's a colony of illegals that are somehow being allowed to purchase land. Right.
Very interesting.
So, and there are some very interesting facts, right? Which is why you have to kind of go through and see for yourself, right? But the land developer donated to Greg Abbott's campaign $1.5 million. What did he get? He'll tell you. They ask that.
Wow. Well, what did he get?
Well, you got that one. That's kind of a draw. I don't want to give that one away. But what I will tell you is, what was very interesting was, nobody knows how many people are there. Nobody.
Hmm.
The land developer swears 30,000, 30 to 35,000. The sheriff
Wow.
has said absolutely not.
No.
Now they say there's Now they say there's drugs and illegals there. The land developer says there's no drugs. All crimes are committed outside the colony. Right?
I don't
no
believe
crimes
that.
happen inside the colony.
I don't believe that.
Right. So here's how this works, right? So if you go to the website, they mark it. Their advertising, except for the English website, is almost all in Spanish, right? They advertise in Spanish because that's the population they're targeting is illegal. Like the guy will tell you, there's a population that has money that wants stuff. So for a $1,000 deposit, you can get a piece of land and develop it however you want. There's no rule, there's no regulation. So there's trailers, there's people selling tacos out of the back of trailers. There's stray dogs. It looks like a third world country, right?
That's
now
insane.
There's some nice sections, right? But you have to Google it and look. There's some nice sections, but overwhelmingly crappy sections. The sheriff thinks it's a drug hub. Land developer says there's no drugs in there. And so what happens is if you miss a payment, right? So here's what happens. They soak you for money, give you the property. You can do whatever you want. You want to build a 5-story house, build a 5-story house. You want to put a house on stilts, put a house on stilts. You want to put a trailer there, put a trailer there, right? It's your land to develop however you want because they get out of.
How much land are they giving or selling?
It's huge. One of the largest growing colonies.
But I mean per plot.
Oh, that I don't know. You'd have to look, right? But you pay the $1,000, and then if you complain, right, then all of a sudden that kindness that they had for the last 6 or 7 years you've been living there is gone, and you default. And then they take your property and they immediately resell it for more than what it was worth.
Interesting.
They advertise connections there were all kinds of complaints. There was all kinds of stuff. You really have to get in there to get into the nitty gritty to watch it. But the point was, this is in Texas, north of Houston, and a growing colony, and people, and there is some type of, amoral greed going on here that can be found in other places. And watch out, these colonies are probably, other places popping up. We just haven't seen them yet or heard of them. But, over here, this one is growing. It's growing. And it's a hotbed of cartel activity. You just have to Google the pictures. Colony Ridge. Have you looked?
Not yet. I just, for the guy to say that there's all crimes committed outside, give me a break, bro.
Oh,
that ain't happening.
So here's guess where they went to get the population estimate from the colony, right? Again, the developer swears 35,000 people, right? 35,000. Right. Oh, and then I'll tell you, I'll give you one tidbit that if you watch it just for this. He's talking to the developer Glenn Beck face to face, and he gives him statistics of crime, and the guy says, "That's not true. That's a lie. They're lying to you." And he says, "Hey, I got this from your office." He's like, "No, you didn't. That's not true." He's like, "Yeah, I did. I got it from your office." He's like, "I printed it right here." He's like, "No, you didn't. That's a lie. Those aren't true." And he's like, "I got what you taught." He's like, "Call your beat." Like,
that's crazy, man.
This is what you gave. He goes, "I'll read it." He's like, "This is what your people gave me, like right over there."
That's insane.
I was like, "No."
So you can't believe a single thing. Thing that guy says.
Right. So anyway, it's like 75 or so he says 35,000, right? So they go to the school district. The school district said no, it's 85,000.
Whoa.
85,000. He said no,
holy shit.
When they told the school district principal, then when they told the school district manager or whatever principal, they were like, "Hey, 35,000." He was like, "No." He's like, "Who said that?" He said, "We are stretched at max capacity." And he explains the metrics they use to make that estimation, but the children. And so we're overwhelmed. If 35,000 wouldn't have this many children. He's like, our school system is bursting at max capacity. We can't He's like, no, it's at least between 75 and 85,000 in
That's
that colony. Just that colony.
ludicrous.
Yes. Yes. Living in shacks. You got to Google it. Just Google it and look at the pictures.
All right, hang on here. What
You
colony?
can share pictures, can't you? Colony Ridge.
Colony Ridge. Yeah, I can't. Maybe. Let's see.
I'm gonna mute while I drink my soda.
Please do. Nobody wants to hear you slurping and shit. Let's see. Colony Ridge. Wow. Looks like a real retreat, if you ask me.
Packs of stray dogs roving the streets. Packs of stray dogs.
Undoubtedly.
With like the 9,000 nipples under their belt. It's looking nasty. Trash everywhere.
Is that already had like 16 litters?
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. Wild dogs running around, all scruff. And just in Texas, just growing. Did you see Texas took control of a section of the border?
No.
Oh, yeah. They went in and kicked the feds out. Where the feds cut the razor wire, they went in and said, no, you're out. State
I did hear about that. Yep,
Get out,
I sure
back
did.
Up. Nope, no federal agents allowed. Back up. Goodbye. Kicked them out and said, don't come back. We're locking this. And then they put the razor wire right back up. Said, no federal authorities authorized on this land per state law. Get out.
Damn. How does that work, though? That's kind of oh, wow, that's touchy.
Texas has a different relationship with the government than every other state. If you did not know this, Texas has an entirely different relationship with every other state. They have the ability to secede on their own at all times. At all times, and does not require federal approval or something. Like there's an entirely different relationship that Sam Houston built with the government when Texas became a state. Like they maintained, he negotiated a very interesting. In fact, you know what? It's worth if you take a minute to comment on the pictures you're looking at. I can look that up real quick.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to share the pictures, but that's all right. Let's see here. I think I got it. Maybe. Well, looky who we got in the room tonight. Little Mikey O'Quinn. What's happening? Epstein Island. Razor wire does work. You ever been caught up in that shit? I'm telling you that. That shit works. It don't feel real great, if you know what I mean. What's up there, Mikey O'Quinn? What you been up to? Don't all talk at once now, children. No, you put the wrong. If you should have put a fat arm up there, that's what you should have put. I'm just saying, you probably blew up like a fucking tick on a hound since you got out. If I was a betting man, that's what I'd go with. Just saying. Lou,
yeah. So it's not. I do. So it's not easy to. It's really not easy to explain. You'd have to look for yourself. But basically, yeah, Texas always has. They've always had the ability to leave. Like they have their own relationship. It's different. They don't require federal approval. They can do what they want to do.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of times, that's why the governor of Texas can be bolder than many other governors versus the federal government, because even though they really never would, because I think it does take a lot within the state to do it, but if the state is motivated to do it, they can do it. And they don't. That's it. Part of their agreement.
Well, I imagine you would have to have the majority of your citizens on board.
I'd imagine since this president's crapped on the rest of the Constitution, I don't think he'd give a damn about some agreement Texas had. He'd probably pull him in and do whatever the hell he wants anyway.
Good point.
But yeah, that's why a lot of people. Oh yeah, okay. I see.
What's
you got
that?
Pictures ready. If you wanted to show those.
Yeah. We're gonna put them up here.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to spend the whole podcast searching around. These were the first ones that popped up. So.
Yeah, that looks like Colony Ridge. Looks exactly like Colony Ridge. Yep.
You get the one house on the left there on stilts right here. We can see that.
There's no zoning. There's nothing. There's no regulations there. There's nothing there.
Nice pile of whatever, garbage, trash, whatever, and then hey, look, there you go. That's quality living right there. You got a trash bag over the roof of your whatever RV looking thing.
When they drive through the neighborhood, imagine like several of those, and then in those backyards, right, were like taco trailers or like
Yeah,
little
right.
businesses, just like food businesses, like no
Right.
sanitation check. Nobody's. I mean, just
Well, that's just a cesspool, man.
It's a
It's
third
it's a matter of time before cholera and typhus breaks out.
remember, the goal was to bring everyone up to our level. When they realized that could not happen, they started to break us down to everyone.
Yeah,
Right? America, right?
big
Bring everybody
surprise.
up to the American standard. When they realized can't do it, then all right, we'll break American standards down, right? So you have an invasion at the border, and when you import the third world, eventually you get third world colonies like that. And then
That's right.
there was a very yeah, you're going to end up with separate portions of the country, right? And then one thing that he was pointing out today, um, when you think about it, there's there are different nations in America already, and then then you start doing crap like this, at Colony Ridge, like when the Navajo Nation, it's pretty big, but and it's
Yeah,
its own country, it has its own, we don't go there,
right.
unless they
You're
unless
not
they
welcome unless you're
right,
going to
well,
the casino.
the point being is they have their own laws, they have their own rules, they have their own, you know what I'm saying, and that's that's part of the agreement,
For sure.
so but you end up with places like Colony Ridge and things like that's gonna be crazy.
Mikey wants to talk about World War III. Well, I'll tell you what.
I mean, with who I'll talk about it all day long.
If any time is a time for a country outside of ours to take advantage, this is the time.
Iranians in World War III, what would they do?
Nothing.
Yeah,
They might send a missile or two over, but nothing.
we talked in depth about this a week or two ago, man. There's no nation on earth that can stand against us if we unleash. The only problem is, do you have people willing to unleash? So
No,
the
you
question
don't.
is, I mean, yeah, right now you don't.
Right.
I mean, you got a defense secretary that was just MIA with the IG. The IG is opening an investigation into the defense secretary. The
I
IG,
am not buying any of it.
pancreatic
because-
cancer.
Rumor has it he was in Walter Reed.
Okay,
So you know that there's no way that they're not reporting it. Chain of command.
I just think, well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, the admiral tells the other admiral.
Well, the
right?
big threes,
And then
they have their VIP.
They have the suites and everything. But what I'm saying is, I believe
Protocol.
that he went in for. I believe he went in for what he thought would be quick and didn't want to say anything. And when it turned out not to be quick, yeah, you fucked up, buddy. You got caught. What do you want me to say?
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. But what I'm saying is, I am not buying that nobody knew where he was.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. But I am buying. They didn't tell. I do believe Joe Biden found out the day we did.
He probably found
When
out
they asked
many
Lloyd
times.
Austin, yeah, they asked the press secretary, like, when did President Biden find out? And he said this morning. And they were like you're telling us, and he found out this morning. It was like a big thing. Peter
Yeah.
Ducey was like, if you lied about him saying he went in for an elective surgery when it was pancreatic cancer, how are we supposed to believe anything you say about Biden? Oh, well, if you can make that connection intelligently, which you can't.
Oh my God, she gets.
Well, it
the
wasn't
award.
her. It was the guy that's
Oh.
going to replace her soon.
Oh God, can't be soon enough. But that girl,
She's terrible.
oh my
AKP.
God, what?
Shelling of South Korea. Oh no! Yeah, so North Korea can only attack in the winter, man. So they better do it soon if they're going to do it. I'm dead serious, man. They can't attack in the summer. They can't.
No.
And we've gone over that multiple times on this show too. You just have to look at the topography of the DMZ, and you'll see it's all rice paddies, man. Their tanks will sink in the summer. They're confined to roads, and once they're on the road, the A-10 Warthog will just be like Christmas.
That's right.
Like it's just. I mean, that gunner is going to get medals he never thought he would have won. With the kill counts and things, and man, he's gonna have some GoPro footage, man.
Right.
That son of a bitch. Now that I think about it, but if they attack in the winter, that's when they can run the whole front line, which is why we do an exercise every year. This is all on the internet. That's why we do an exercise every year in the winter. So we're already there. We're already built up. We got people on the ground right now doing a stupid exercise, freezing their nuts off, hating.
What is that? I can't remember the name of it.
I was gonna call it Clown Warrior. That was what we used to jokingly. That was what we used to jokingly call the summer Cloud Warrior, Clown Warrior. It was Full Eagle.
Full Eagle. That's right.
Full Eagle, right? And then right after Full Eagle is UFL.
Cobra Gold, baby.
Yeah, UFL, and then Cobra Gold, and you get into all that stuff. It's a tour of the Pacific in every hot region at every point that it's capable of becoming its hottest. You know what I mean? Like action wise,
right?
There's a plan. So as much as I clown on everything, there are some people playing 3D chess well. You know, and the North Korea strategy. Plus, you can't really do anything anyway. Much of a response from there. North Korea really has to, or I'm sorry, South Korea would really have the lead in the initial response because we just don't have enough troops there on a regular basis. But
that's a fact.
For the most part.
Because I don't remember which one it was, but one of the bases over there was bracked.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking about, hey, remember when they bracked Norfolk and they just like turn the lights off on a building? Like, hey, nobody go in there. Hey, we're bracked. We're good. You don't have to come back here for another 10 years. Anyway, it was like the base joke. Like, hey, there's our brack building. Everybody used to say it. On the way to Airside, you'd see it as you were driving from Airside to Airside. Just to point that out. So, dude's pointing out pro-Palestinian terror attack. Now, that I believe is highly possible, and I don't even think from pro-Palestinians. Here's what I'll tell you. You know, here's what I think, man. People are purposely fanning the flames for any violence to occur here for some purpose that I'm not aware of. Right? I'm going to assume it's nefarious. Otherwise, you would share it openly. But
right.
You know, I'll run this by you, Andy. You know, if if you know every time you slam President Trump boosts him in the polls, why are you slamming him? To boost him in the polls, right? So this is on purpose. So you pull Trump off the ballot, that boosts him in the polls. That's on purpose, man. Right? Uh-huh. Because now, if Trump doesn't win, you think his supporters are going to take that?
Right. They're ready. They're trying. They are trying to stoke an insurrection.
Now, if Trump wins, you think BLM's going to? You think BLM's going to take that?
It's a wicked gamble. I get it. It's a big gamble on the Democrats.
I think no, they're not going to take it. It's going to be a riot either way. They know it, which is why they want that, because regardless of who wins, the riot wins, which means the authoritarians win, which are on either side. They're on both sides, man. Mm-hmm. You know, looking to seize power for different reasons, whatever, but they are looking for an excuse to gain more power. And this election is an excellent excuse to, because either way it goes, there will be violence. So I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, whether it's pro-Palestinian or election violence, I think 2024 and 2025 are going to be interesting.
He says Trump had the chance to use military force to control the election. He chose not to, even after his crap VP didn't do anything. Yeah. What say you on that, Lou?
You know, they changed the law, right? I mean, certainly they changed the law, so they were afraid Mike Pence could have done something. Right. Mm-hmm. I know the defense is always, you know, the vice president can't do anything. Well, after that incident, they changed the law to make it clear the vice president cannot do something. So there may be some fear that he could have acted in some way legally to do whatever for the elections. I'm going to be honest, man. I am not a lawyer. In my experience with lawyers, including family members, have taught me they're just fucking disgusting people. But here, pardon that, I did curse. But here's what I'll say. Hopefully I mumbled it.
I didn't hear it, so
good. But here's what I'll say. As far as you know, he had the chance to use military force to control the election. I don't know that putting the military on the street is a good optic. Here's what I think. Right. I think we are very bad at the narrative. Right. We do these memes and we do these things, but we don't have an effective narrative. Okay. There is a man who used to work for the Federal Elections Board, and I can't remember his name, right? But he worked for 22 years in the election fraud section. He wrote a 200-page paper on what was wrong with the 2016 or 2020 election, right? And where to find the fraud and how to find the fraud. He starts the paper with 5 pages on the history of elections and elections around the world. And when I listened to his interview, and like I said, I wish I could find it because, of course, Google's so woke, everything gets buried. But he talked about the history of elections. And he talked about the fact that America is the only westernized country with early voting, mail-in voting, and no signature or ID verification required of any kind. We're the only ones who allowed drop boxes with no monitoring. He said there are drop boxes in Denmark with a required 24-hour human presence.
Interesting.
Checking. Yeah. So when you learn all this, and you know what I learned? Here's what I learned. He pointed out Amir Khan, right? The London mayor talking shit on our elections. You know, I'll curse because I don't like him. But they're talking Amir Khan, you know, talking on our elections not being open and fair and not, you know, being disillusioned and everything. Every country in the EU requires ID to vote. Every country. He said in every county in England requires ID to vote, except one county in England. One. And he said, and the only reason they don't is a historical thing that goes back 120 years. He said, and for the last 15 years, it has appeared every year on the parliamentary ballot to be photo ID enforced. Like they're going to vote on it one of these days to make it ID enforced. He said, because every country knows you can't do that and have a fair, legitimate election. That's
not every country.
Well, it's kind of crap. Well, I think we know that too, though, right? Like you have to think about the margin of error and the margin of cheating, right? Trump's problem was his attitude sucked so bad and he lost control of the country the last year. He put himself in the margin of cheating where people were like, I know this is effed up, right? But there was all kinds of polling to show that, well, maybe it was. And so you didn't really, you know, you kind of had to have a half-ass effort of looking into it, man. The guy's got to get out of the margin of cheating, man. He's got to get out of that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
You know, it's such a catch-22 to me that I don't see how they can legally keep him off of the ballot.
I get you, Mike.
But I don't see a way that even if they didn't, that he could possibly win at this point.
Yeah. I think, you know, I don't know. I like I said, I think violence is going to win. And I think the agitators and the authoritarians, I think are going to win. I really do, man. I really think 24, 25, it's going to be a real test, man. I mean, I don't know.
Are you willing to predict Democrat or Republican?
Oh, okay. So, all right. So I think. No, you know what? I'm going to wait for the general. I have to see who's running who, because I'll tell you what, right now, if they get rid of Biden and bring Michelle Obama in, it's all over, man. No one can beat her. No one.
Right.
No. Sorry.
I can beat her.
Yeah.
With a stick.
Yeah.
Ramaswamy?
Yeah. Vivek,
I like him.
You know, here's what I like about Vivek. He forces a conversation.
Sure as hell does.
I'm not sure about what his motivations are. I'm not going to sit here, but I like what he says, and he's forcing a conversation. I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, it's clearly not for the money.
Yeah.
Because that dude's loaded.
Yeah, I mean, there was some about branding and you know, your name's there, and then you know, and then everywhere you go, you're presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy.
Right. However,
speech towards things, but
he's very well spoken.
Oh, he's extremely well spoken,
and he doesn't back down.
Did you see that? That's a polled fault of his.
No.
Yeah, people poll it as a fault.
That he knows what he's talking
about? Like they love
or?
it. Yeah, like he's too well spoken. And you're like, yeah, come on, man. At some point you got to be like William Shatner, right? What do you think about your overacting? Well, what the hell is overacting? What does that even mean? What does overacting mean? I'm already pretending.
I'm right. That reminds me. Remember the Saturday Night Live skit with John Lovitz? Master
Yeah.
thespian. I'm acting. He's such an underrated comedian. However, I don't want to
John?
get off the topic. Yeah.
I started watching The Critic anyway, but yeah. So Obama was a great speaker, right? And yeah, that's true. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the guy, yeah, so here. Let me tell you about an interesting conversation I had with somebody about money, right? We're talking about the economy and housing collapse and everything, and you know, the person was trying to tell me.
Hold on, before you go there, I just read the comment from John Poe. It says the only Republican candidate the swamp will allow to be elected is Haley.
That's our that's our buddy, my neighbor.
Oh, is that right?
That's our buddy. Yeah, I wanted that man in here inciting riotry. But no, you may be right though. You may be right about the swamp. But I don't know, man. We'll have to see a lot about that. A lot of things depend on how some of these races go too. Somebody brought up an interesting point, like how's one-on-one going to go? You know, when it gets down to one-on-one, in the primary,
right?
How's that going to go? You know, how's Trump going to respond to that? But I think with regard to see, now I lost my train of thought because of Poe. Oh, Obama and a great speaker, right? Yeah. So, and money and housing. So we're talking about money and housing, and I was talking to somebody who I respect, and I respect their political opinion. When you look at policing welfare and when the housing collapsed, right? It was we were talking about the housing, or we were talking about policing welfare, and he was telling me it costs more to police it than to just let people, um, you know, commit fraud against it. And my thing was how can you say that, right? And then I was talking about it's like the same thing with the housing collapse, right? You know, everybody blames the banks for the housing collapse, you know, but they forget it was the federal government that ordered the banks to give loans to people they knew could never afford those houses, right? Like people blame these variable mortgage rates and stuff, and people bought houses because they were great when it was low, but they never thought about it when it would go high, and now it's killing them. And okay, that I you know what? I don't care about any of that, man. Really, I don't. To be honest, people who took variable mortgage rates, that's on them. And I'm sure they reaped some benefit, and I'm sure they were aware of some, penalty. But at the end of the day, here was really ultimately one of the other problems that went to the economy, and sort of brought us where we are today, right? Because you had the housing collapse, then you had a restructure, you had people lose homes, you had all these things, you had disinflation, all this money floating around out there in the ether. In Keynesian economic theory, you print money to cover your debt, and then you bring it back through interest rates, right? That's how you bring it back, and then you burn it. That's how you get money out of circulation. I'm serious, right? You burn that shit,
right?
Right. So, you had zero interest rates after that market collapse, right? To try to help out with the economy. When President Obama became president, right? And all these things started to happen. During his second term, the Fed left the rates artificially at zero. Not because they needed to be, but because someone, and I don't believe this was under the direction of President Obama. I do not. People can tell me, no, absolutely, these are mass. No, man, I believe these were people who thought they were doing a good thing, right? Because the road, our parents, if you know anything about me, I say all the time, we should stop listening to the experts and start listening to our parents and grandparents. Our parents would tell us the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yep.
They left them at zero so that Obama would not have another bad economic news during his presidency. They wanted him to have as successful a presidency as he could have as the first black president. We need to support the first black president. I think that is a very noble goal.
Wait a minute. I thought Clinton was the first black president.
That's right. I forgot about that. He went to the church. But I think that's a very noble thing, but I don't think it's a very noble thing for the Fed. Right? Does that make sense?
It's noble but stupid.
So they left, and then we have Trump, and the rates are the same, right? They leave them at zero again. But he had more control over that stuff, and I'm not saying he did that on purpose. What I'm saying is Trump was a businessman who knew the things to look at. And he looked at that stuff. He would be on the Fed. He was on them. He was on top of them. So, that's a positive. That's what I'm saying. Positive. That's in the positive game. So anyway, yeah, man, when you leave rates at zero for that long and you never bring that money back into circulation to burn it, that's a problem, man. And that's why when they keep raising these rates, we have to do it another quarter point. We have to. So when you hear that, right? And I'm really making this really simple because it's the only way I understand it, right? I couldn't get into detail about any of this. I've read books on it, but I forget all the technocrat stuff, and I only remember the cool stuff they say, right? Like when Rickard said every printed dollar is a non-interest bearing liability against an insolvent system. I was like, oh, that sounds so intelligent. I have to remember that. So I memorized. But every quarter point that they go up or half point they go up, that's more they can bring in to burn, right? To get it. So they have to get it back to burn it. Now
it's not so much they can bring in, it's that they have to bring in.
Yes, because there's too much cash chasing too few goods. Right. That's what inflation is, right? There's more money than stuff, or more money than a demand for stuff, right? So there's just money, and so it floats around, which again is why they want to go digital, right? So if they go digital, and I encourage you to look this term up, right? Mickey, if you're still on, look up this term if you love going down rabbit holes. A haircut, a financial haircut, right? Have you ever heard that, Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll go digital and they'll give everybody a 10% haircut. What they mean is when you'll go to bed, you'll wake up in the morning and 10% of your account will be gone.
That's that'll be bullshit.
And that'll be world fucking wide, right? Because or United States wide, right? Everyone will lose 10%. It's what we do, right? Because your money's in the bank and your interest rates will be variable. So if I need you to spend money, I will tell you that if you have money in this account by the end of the year, I'm taking 20%. I'm taking 20%.
It's like the good old-fashioned military supply system.
Right. So I'm encouraging you to spend because I need money infused into the system. This is all when you go digital. If I don't want you to spend money, hey, if you leave it here at the end of the year, I'll give you 20%. Now, I need an emergency influx of cash. Haircut time. I'm just going to take 10% from everyone. And it's fair. Because nobody moves. I took it from everybody. So you guys down there, you still fucked. And you guys up there, you're still up there. Nobody moved. But you did lose 10%.
I don't like this digital shit at all.
No. But that's how they plan to handle inflation in the future, so they can just do it easier. So it could just so they can play with it easier, right? So if I want you to spend money, it's easier for me to do it because it's digital now. But when you have a dollar, and this is what Rickards means when he says every printed dollar is a non-interest bearing liability against an insolvent system. When you have a dollar, right, they have no control over that.
That's right.
That's physical proof that they owe you. And the more of those you have, the more upset they get. He said, which is why, the law says if you withdraw $10,000, they want to know. He said, but what the bank isn't telling you is that every bank, okay, I'll say it again, every bank. So when you say not my local bank, every bank files that report at $5,000.
Yeah.
5,000 or over.
There are some banks that threshold's much lower.
Yes, two.
I believe Navy Federal is 2,500.
Maybe, yeah. But they file that report if you withdraw that cash. Absolutely, 100%. And he said they're not waiting till 10,000.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely getting reported.
Yes, and then when you turn in, and if you drive around with, let's say $9,000, and you make that deposit regularly because you want to avoid the $10,000 report, that's called structuring, and they'll get you for that. So interestingly enough, they screwed this game. Remember on the Pit we talked about this. No need for anybody to go look up those old episodes. So
they're gone anyway.
Thank God. So the now I lost what I was saying. Damn. I thought about the Pit and I was thinking about the logo in my head.
What were we saying?
Whatever. Who
Yeah.
knows? I'll say
Cool story,
I said a
bro.
lot.
What
Right?
is CBDC?
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about breaking the dollar, right? The non-interest
Oh, that's
bearing
right.
liabilities, right? And so basically he was saying, when you hold on to that, they don't like it, and he
Right.
said they can't tax it, like they can't take it. He
Right.
said so that's why they don't like it. And then
Well, Christine
another.
brings up a great point. Bury gold and silver in mason jars in the backyard. Banks are shit. Grandpa told me that years ago. That's true. I
I,
mean,
I I tried to play for you. Yeah, you're right. I tried to play for you one time, and I couldn't do it. What Rickards has to say about Bitcoin,
mm,
he doesn't like it at all, man. He thinks it's terrible.
hmm. Yeah, I can't. I mean, he's clearly way smarter than I am, but I can't. I can't find any reason to disagree with him at all.
Yeah, yeah. He quotes Yellen as admitting the Fed's insolvent, and he hasn't been sued, and I haven't seen a retraction for the book. I have a hard copy in audio.
Well, when
He
you're right,
quotes
you're
her.
right.
He quote. You know what the quote is? There he said he was having lunch with her, and he told her this was before she was the chairman. She was just on the board.
Hmm.
And he told her, you're insolvent. She said, no, we're not. And he said, yes, you are. And she said, well, no one can do the math. And he said, I have. And she said, well, nobody knows. And he said, so in the span of 2 minutes, we went from no, we're not to, well, nobody can do the math to, well, nobody
Right.
knows. And he used that conversation, right, to point out that the Fed is the most, he said the Fed will tell you they are the most transparent organization of any government entity, right? He said, and he goes, that's true. Everything I'm going to tell you is all on their website. It's where I get it. He said, the only thing they won't tell you is that in order to interpret this, you will require a master's in economics. He said, seriously. He said, because he goes, even in regular math classes, these things aren't covered. There's no reason to.
Right.
He goes, and when you see economists on television, they don't talk about this stuff because it's only for other economists. You won't understand it.
Mhm.
He said so.
Ironically
he said,
enough,
it's all right there.
the guy that was supposed to be on the show tonight was a Bitcoin guy.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Wow, it would have been. It'd have been great. But oh well. Maybe some other time.
Is the penny worth more than the copper it's like made of yet? Or how's that go? I forget how that goes. One of them is worth less than the like metal it's printed on or something.
Yeah. I don't know which one that is. But I'm a firm believer in you need to have an emergency stash.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like a couple $100.
Oh, you're talking dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. This time.
Oh man.
But yeah, man, it's just you're not taking my damn money, man. I will leave so little in there that if you take half of nothing, you get nothing. You know what I mean?
Right. So interestingly enough, right? When we were on base and I was a member of a private organization on base, right? The base started to get so ridiculous with its accounting. I mean, stupid with its accounting, right?
Mhm.
You ever have experience with base and audits?
It's painful.
Yeah, very painful. They make it dumb, right?
It's
So
yeah.
yeah. So
Sorry, I'm just having
go ahead.
memories of the pain.
We'll spit it out.
No, I don't even want to go down that road, man.
All right. Well, so I have a sister organization, right? We file together, and he's in and out, and I'm always in there forever. I'm like, and then finally, I'm like, what? Come on, man. It's like third year in a row, right? I'm like, come on, man. What's the
Right.
secret? He's like, bro, when these assholes took over, we got rid of everything and only keep $100 in the account.
All right, Mikey.
He said, rewrite one check a year for $25. And then we deposit $25, and then we have $100 for next year. He goes, we only have 2 sheets. He goes, all our money is out in town in a Japanese bank account.
I'm telling you, man.
I
I'm
said,
telling
why
you.
didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? He goes, it's all out in town, man. He said, but as far as the base is concerned, yeah, man, gotta count it.
Yeah, because when I I was teaching judo there for a while,
Yeah,
and I had to deal with their accounts and shit. And it's just fucking. And, anyway, I don't even want to go down that road of pain again. They were, yeah. Don't get me started, man. See, I'm starting to get the blood pressure starting to get a little bit uppity, but we're just gonna ignore that. Dude. So, what are your thoughts on the Illuminati? Real? Not real?
I don't really care, man. Like I know people are running this shit in the background. I don't care what their name is.
The
I
reason
mean,
I bring that up is that I'm a big comedy guy. I love comedy.
yeah,
And so I was apparently Cat Williams, who is not one of my favorite comedians. I don't not like him. He's just not one of my favorite. But anyway, apparently he's blowing up the internet. He did an interview with Shannon Sharp, and he's
Yes.
calling fools out. He straight up said that Ludacris, that they were both approached by the Illuminati, and one of them took the deal and one of them didn't. Basically saying Ludacris took the deal. So, but I was just, it's crazy, man. I get on YouTube and I can't even get 3 clicks away without seeing 15 videos on Cat Williams and this and Cat Williams that. So I drank the Kool-Aid and I watched one of them. It's pretty wild. And the thing is nobody's, they're coming back and clapping back at him and stuff, but they're not denying anything that he said.
Of course not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Alex Jones confronted the one guy, the clip "Sleeping Spiders Sleep Here Not." Have you seen that?
No.
Sleeping Spiders Lay Here Not. Yeah, Alex Jones infiltrated an underground organization in DC and like caught pictures, like exposed everything. Like they were doing some naked ritual or something, like some weird ritual, man. Back when he was young, right? And he confronted the congressman outside, and he was like, "Hey, you want to comment on this? Were you at this ritual? Were you doing this? Were you with this young lady? What's up with that? Were you over here?" And the dude's like, "Da da 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 da," and he's like, and he tells him, I infiltrated. I'm the guy who did the report. He's like, "Well, then I have no respect for you," and and he's like, "Well, were you there?" And he's like, "Well, I don't, that's private business, and if you're going to expose that, then obviously you're not a man, and I have no respect for men who break agreements." But would not deny anything. And then as the guy walks away, he goes, "Sleeping spiders lay not here." And the guy stops and turns, and he's like,
Alex Jones.
I guess that's the code word for one of them.
Alex Jones, he's always talking like he's got cock in the back of his throat.
Yeah.
I know Christine really loves his voice. Just so this is for you, Christine. Sandy Hook is crazy. Illuminati. I got nothing else.
It's just funny, man. And but anyway, you had that, and then
She's talking about Cat Williams. My bad.
Whatever.
Whoops.
It's good Alex Jones anyway.
I'm learning how to read.
But yeah, dude, I think I think these organizations exist. The degree to which they have influence, I don't know. I mean, there are certainly power players around here.
Oh yeah.
And you look at but isn't that the way of the world? I mean, our microcosms are reflections of the greater. It's how we learn it. It's how we see it. It's how we grow up in the. I mean, so as these organizations push down their sort of matrix, of leadership. I mean, that translates down into what we have. I mean, I work at a company with a boss, and he's got a boss, and
right.
Now you have supposedly these people operating in the background. I mean, yeah. I mean, when I was in the Navy, I had people who had influence way beyond what they should have.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but were they Illuminati, or were they just people like them? Like the person of influence.
Right.
Dude, I couldn't tell you why the XO liked me.
The
Once she
Mafia.
did, I could do no wrong.
Oh, we talk about my favorite XO?
That's what I'm saying. So I'm just saying,
God.
right?
She hated me.
I was on the good list. You were on the naughty list. I could do no wrong. You got screwed at every opportunity. But I mean, but that's so that's the way of the world, right? So these organizations, I mean, you know what my mentor told me? My mentor told me many, many moons ago, man. Do I hate them, or do I hate that I don't have it locked down like that?
You
You
know,
know,
I think I
more
can
often
answer
than
that.
not.
Honestly, I think I can answer that and say I'm good.
Oh, I could say if I were to hate it, I'd hate it only because I wasn't in it. Because I know if I was in it, I'd be loving it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna be real, man. Yeah, if I was a power player in the Illuminati, well, you think I'd be like, this sucks, man.
Oh, I'm I'm
I'd be like, this is awesome.
I'm
Watch
quite
me move
certain
nations.
that if I was I'm quite certain that if I was in that position, I probably wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't turn it down.
Just, right.
Just saying.
Who would even even if you wanted to do good? I mean, like who wouldn't go on the inside?
Right? I mean, power corrupts, man.
It does. It does. I agree with you. But here's the other thing too, though. And I believe this, right? Talking to listen. I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh regularly, right? I still have the app on my Apple TV. I haven't shut it down. But he would do an episode every once in a while. I heard it. I heard it twice. Same told similarly both times, right? So that always to me multiple stories told similarly, like that makes that makes the credibility in there for me.
Sure.
But he was talking about how much money do you need to be a player? So take a guess. This was 12 years ago, I think 12, 15 years ago when I heard this episode. So this is 15 years old, but just guess back then.
I have
To
no
be a
idea.
player, he said to be a player about 500 million. He said if you don't have 500 million in the bank, you're not a player. He said with the people. He said I'm talking about the people, right? The people that move this nation. He said 500 million in the bank or you're not a player.
Huh.
Nope. You're a guest.
Very
He
interesting.
He said they don't think like we do. They don't have our problems. Their problems are global and different. He said so for example, we sit here and we say, well, isn't somebody going to do something about the traffic in New York City? No, they don't even they're probably not even aware of that.
Yeah, they're flying in their helicopters.
They're helicoptering everywhere because they don't have time for the traffic.
Right.
So that's not a problem they're looking at. He said, so they don't know that. He said, they don't shop for cars. He said they call the dealer and say, I'm looking for, bring your latest models. I'm going to be in Rhode Island this weekend, at the he said, so when they land, the cars are there. And then they walk around and say this one, and then they go. And then when they come back, those cars are gone. He said they don't go, so they don't know the dealership negotiation. They don't know that. They don't know that there's forms and all these other things. He said that's not how they experience life.
They don't know about that peasant life.
He said they don't, he said they wouldn't, he said he's been in people's houses where they would not allow him to look behind the TV or the remote control. They had to call the repair guy because they didn't know. He said what he said he was at the person's house and what they had said was we're coming in and I forget the name of the game, right? But it was some great game. He said I'll be in by 6. So they flew the chef in, all these people, right? So we'll be in by 6. I want to eat dinner by 7, and by 8 o'clock I want to watch this game from like years before that, right? Like I want, ready to go. Push one button and the game goes on, the stereo, everything is done.
Right.
He said he pushed the button, it didn't go on. He said, but literally all he had to do was push input and go down to he wouldn't listen. Had to call the guy. Guy had to come. He said he came, picked up the remote, looking at all of us like, what the fuck is wrong with us? He said, and I'm looking at him like, I'm sorry, man.
Right.
Input,
it is a different, completely different universe, not even a world. It's a different universe.
He said the reason he didn't want Rush Limbaugh to touch it was Rush was the guest. You shouldn't have to do anything. This should have worked. He was so embarrassed. That's why he wouldn't let him touch it. Like he was like, no, no. But
you may be rich, but you're a dumbass.
Well, right, and continue going on, right? However, they are making decisions affecting hundreds of thousands of people or global, initiatives or policies, so they're under a different kind of stress, a different kind of, which is why they get that kind of money, right? Because they're able to generate it, right? When you're able to generate it, you get paid it. He said, but it's, but they have different kinds of stresses, different kinds of things. But he said a lot of times they're not aware, man. And so when I remember those shows, when I think about those things, right? Like your Illuminati and everything, are they even aware? Do they even know we have problems down here?
Probably not. You know what time it is with the music. That
Thank God.
signifies it's our Veterans Helping Veterans segment. And so I didn't pick a organization tonight. I was a little bit lazy. So what I did, I found that the VA Claims Insider has a list of 75 veterans charities. So you're getting the bonus package tonight there. So click on that little QR code. Go check them out, and if you find a charity there that is near and dear to your heart that can help out a veteran out there, then please help them out. What do you say to that, Lou?
Yeah, I think you should get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Clark, shitter's full.
That's funny. All right. Well, man, I think this is a very, very good show tonight, I think. Very interesting topics.
A lot of fun.
And, man, we should get together and do this again next week or something.
Why not?
Well, all right. Well, oh, look at that. Hey, of course, we have a new person coming in the room. Hello, Miss Julia Smith. If I'm saying that right, I don't know. I can't read. But thank you for coming in and saying hello. Unfortunately, we're wrapping up, but we'll be back next Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, Lou, I'll let you close us out.
Well, hey, everybody. If you like what you heard, comment, click like.
Don't do it.
I love saying that. I love saying it because, in all honesty, I have no idea how you're watching this. If you can even comment or click like down below. But I got a kid that's one of those ages where that's all I hear in the background. And I'm like, are you watching that crap again? All right. Anyway, hey, glad to see everybody. Thanks for coming out. Hope you enjoyed what you listened for. Keep it interactive. Keep commenting. We'll be back with more content next week.